Hope everyone is having a fantastic day today. My name is Olivia. Did I check if my sound is up? Hold on. The sound wasn't up. Hope everyone is having a fantastic day today. Like I said, my name is Olivia. Welcome back to my channel. You having a good day. You having a better day than a lot of people because a lot of people are dead. So you're alive. Another day that you've been blessed with. But something today that I wanted to talk about is something that I have come to notice. I hold myself accountable to. I'm aware of this. I see. You have to realize that being bored is a blessing, is a gift, is a privilege, is something that a lot of people do not have. You need to be boring. In a state of stability, a state that does not operate from chaos, but operates from a lack of chaos, calmness, to the point where you have a calm nervous system, just your life is calm and peaceful, that is a blessing. Monday will feel like a Monday. Tuesday feel like a Tuesday. Wednesday feel like a Wednesday. And so on with the days of the week. And it just feels very boring. You have to realize that that is a blessing because there is peace in the mundane. A lot of people pray, a lot of people wish, a lot of people hope and work towards a mundane and a peaceful life. Not everybody gets it, unfortunately. I have had to hold myself accountable to this and become aware of wanting to be more appreciative of those times when I'm bored, when my days feel like they run together, when my days feel very peaceful, and there's quote unquote not exciting things that happen in my day. You, I have realized that I used to think that life was boring, or you may even feel this way too. You think that life is boring, but the peace that comes from knowing that tomorrow will be just like today is a luxury that a lot of people don't have. A lot of people, unfortunately, are living day to day. They do not have the luxury of peace. A lot of people are in environments and their lives are in chaos and dysfunction, in unpeaceful situations, conditions, to the point where it's always something going on every single time that they wake up, every minute of the day. They try to relax. Here comes something else trying to disrupt my day. A shift in my perspective had to occur because I wasn't bored, but I needed to realize that, well, I was bored, but I needed to realize that there was a peace in me being bored. Like I said, that is a luxury that a lot of people do not have. For some, like I said, each day will bring challenges, will bring crises, problems, issues, situations that can cause someone to not have peace. And the absence of drama, the absence of disasters, the absence of dysfunction in your life is truly a gift and something that you need to appreciate more and more in your day to day life, or just something that I've had to appreciate. You have to, I feel like we need to be more aware of the transition from having a life where it is very chaotic, where it is very dysfunctional, and then from that dysfunctional life transitioning into a life outside of function. I feel like oftentimes it looks a lot like boredom. It looks a lot like a very boring, mundane, um not exciting life. And what will start happening is, because you do not aren't used to the boredom, or like I said, Mondays feeling like Mondays, your days running together. It's like when you are so used to dysfunction and then you get to a place where you can function and you have a peaceful life, what normally starts happening? You go back to looking for something dysfunctional because it brings you some sort of excitement. For some people, it feels normal because you're so used to dysfunction that when your life is finally peaceful, something's wrong, something's off. This doesn't feel normal, so you have to invite dysfunction back into your life, and then it just starts to cycle again. I feel like we need to start, like I said, I've noticed is When your life becomes boring, people start looking for excitement. They look for something to stimulate them. And a lot of times, that's activity, whatever you're doing to stimulate you, to bring you excitement, can be a lot of self sabotaging behaviors. And it is a lot of things that you wind up regretting after you do it. Or once that high is over, once that excitement is over, once that you're not stimulated anymore about in whatever it is you're doing to get out of that boredom, you start regretting it. But getting used to stability, getting used to a very peaceful, boring, mundane life can be extremely hard when you come from an unstable, dysfunctional, chaotic background or an environment, and you've been in that environment for so long. A lot of people been in that environment since childhood, and it's all that they know. And I think the lack of chaos when you are finally functioning, it can breed boredom. And like I said, and then it will breed self sabotaging behaviors because you don't know what it feels like to be bored, or you do not know what it feels like to have peace in your life, for your life to be mundane. Every day, nothing is trying to, you go through your day, not stuff is not trying to trigger you anymore. You're not used to dealing with this and you don't know how to deal with it. So, in order for you to not go back to dysfunction, you, in a sense, have to become aware and hold yourself accountable and take a look at yourself and regulate your nervous system so that it becomes adjusted to peaceful conditions and peaceful environments. Because when you go out looking, when you're in that functional, that peaceful state and it's boring and it's mundane, and then you go out looking for something to put you back into that position where you are stressed out, that chaos, that dysfunction, your nervous system is not looking for peaceful conditions. And somehow you're going to have to call yourself out on that, call your nervous system out on that, to become aware that you're going down a path that you particularly do not want to go down. If I want a peaceful life, I have to stay clear and keep those things that are going to ruin my peace or destroy my peace out of my reach. I have to kick it. I have to get it out of my life. And holding yourself accountable to that. I think just a lot of people aren't mindful, or that a lot of people are not aware of some behaviors, are not aware that a lot of their actions are stemming from them not being able to regulate their nervous system or regulate themselves from anything outside of chaos. I think we, as humans, we are just traumatized by what you see on the news, everyday life. Something is always trying to trigger you. You're always having this trauma, these wounds, this pain. And I feel like if we're not, as a whole, we're not self aware to even subconsciously even wanting chaos in our own lives, to the point where something good will happen to you. You'll have a boring, mundane life, and you're not even aware that you are seeking out self-sabotaging behaviors in your own life, behaviors that are going to cause chaos and dysfunction because potentially it's something that you're so used to, and it feels normal. Boredom does not feel normal, so you want that dysfunction and chaos again, so that you feel at home. It feels comfortable. Some people, that's all they've known since childhood. And I personally think sometimes this happens even too when you have too much time on your hands and you have no hobbies and interests to fill with that time. You're not what you're doing with your time is not educational, it's not stimulating mentally, emotionally, psychologically, physically. None of it's good for you. You're not doing anything to better yourself, and you become bored because you're not doing anything to better yourself overall. And you throw in being used to excitement, being used to chaos and dysfunction. I feel like you will start looking for things that will give you that rush and that excitement. You start operating from that dysfunction and you start looking for it because that's all that you've been used to. And because of that, you will start looking for that dysfunction and that chaos in all the wrong places, to the point where you get yourself in trouble. potential, and then once you get yourself in trouble, and then that, like I said, that high wears off from that excitement and the chaos and dysfunction, and reality sets back in. I wouldn't be surprised if you potentially even wish that that peace and that boredom and that boring life, that boring Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you start harping and reminiscing on the times that what was, when life was boring, when it was mundane, when I was complaining about boredom. But now I got myself in a situation that I thought was going to be fun because it was exciting, because unbeknownst to me, subconsciously, I like operating from chaos and dysfunction, that maybe you start potentially even wishing for that boredom and that mundane life to come back, and potentially even wanting a do-over. But sometimes in life, I don't know, life has good, every consequence has good, good consequence, excuse me. When you make good decisions, it has good consequences. When you make bad decisions, it has bad consequences. In some situations, some environments, or something that you put yourself in, you're not always able to do a do-over. So something that I try to do is to hold myself accountable, to be aware to these things of finding peace and boredom, and not wanting, even subconsciously, to be looking for chaos and dysfunction. When I'm honest with myself, I feel like it allows someone else to be honest with themselves as well. And we all have struggles, we all have pain, we all have trauma, we all have wounds, and we all have to adjust outside of chaos, outside of that dysfunction, that trauma, that pain. And you have to realize that you need to re-regulate your nervous system to peace, to the fact where you start, when you're in a peaceful condition, you don't start looking for chaos and dysfunction. Because me personally, I want peace to be my default. I don't want a stressed out nervous system. I want a calm nervous system. Like I said, some people may label you as boring or mundane, but the peace that you have from a life where you're not seeking chaos and dysfunction subconsciously, or whether you're doing it on purpose, is a very peaceful life. And like I said, it's a blessing and it is a gift, because a lot of people are out, people that you don't even know, potentially halfway across the world, the country, the state, are out praying for a life that you have, because you have a life of peace. You have a life of boring. You know what's going to happen the next day. A lot of people do not have that luxury of knowing what's going to happen the next day. A lot of people are living day to day, not even day to day. A lot of people live in hour to hour, minute to minute, second to second, and do not have the blessing and do not have the luxury of knowing what tomorrow is going to bring, because they don't even know what's going to happen in the next second, in the next minute, the next hour. So, me personally, I want peace to be my default. I want to find the peace even in the boring, in the boredom. Like I said, to feel bored, I've had to shift my perspective on this. To feel bored is a blessing. It means that in this very moment, while I'm making this video, while I'm sitting here in this parking lot, in this very moment, I don't feel threatened. There's nothing threatening around me right now. There's no danger for me to escape, even at home. In my childhood, even when I go home, there's just nothing. There's nothing to do in this exact moment but sit here and speak my thoughts on YouTube. There's nothing to do in this exact moment while I sit here that is going to require my immediate attention. Just there's a peace that comes from that. And like I this too, I often think that, like I said, we seek out activities and distractions to move us away from peace, to move us away from the mundane, the stillness of this moment, of now. And to be honest, it's not all your fault. It's not all my fault. Like I said, and I said many times in videos, it's the phones. Phones doesn't help. It's the news, it's advertisements, it's social media, even though I'm using social media right now to say this, but it's social media, it's phone notifications, It's the notification that you get from websites and businesses that you shop at. Hey, 50% off sale, or hurry fast, hurry this now, buy this now before it's too late. I feel like everything is designed nowadays to steal your attention away from the now, from away from the present, from away from the peace of like the present, like I said. And I feel like this results in a lot of us being distracted, a lot of us not living in the moment, a lot of us not appreciating our lives. Um, like I said, we used to have hobbies. I can't believe this. I think it said 2 in 5 Americans didn't read a single book in 2025. Daily reading for just stimulation or excitement has plummeted to some 40% over the last 2 decades. 40% Americans did not read a single book in 2025. We used to have hobbies. We used to read. We used to just do something educational, mentally, physically, emotionally, psychologically, everything just stimulating in a good way. And now I just feel like we have phones to distract us from the peace, from the boring, from the mundane. Now, which I've seen this a lot, we not only have phones, we just have a lot of gossip, especially on social media, especially well, I ain't going there. And those are quote unquote hobbies now. Hobbies that you do when you're bored and need excitement and are time wasters. There's nothing what the phone is, unfortunately, is a time waster. Nothing what gossip is a time waster. Wasting your time that you will never get back. Time is precious. And I feel like me personally, like I said it, you need to give yourself in your daily, everyday life to just do nothing. To recharge. Do something for your inner self, for yourself mentally and emotionally. The return from finding the peace in the boring to living in the moment is you are very calm. You have a regulated nervous system. Your productivity is great. Your creativity is great. A clarity of mind when you start just living in the moment, finding peace in the boredom, realizing that it's a blessing. I feel like what I even tell myself the next time that I catch myself being quote unquote bored, I don't know, it's just a great opportunity to sit in that boredom, to sit in the moment of me being bored instead of always gravitating towards the phone for something to do. Maybe just sitting in the peace of boredom. Because, like I said, that's a luxury that a lot of people don't have. And even in that moment, acknowledging that it's an opportunity for me to say, this is okay. I like being bored. I need to sit in this boredom. I need to sit in this moment with nothing to do. Let me just sit in it and feel, how do I feel? I feel calm. I feel at peace. I feel that stillness. And that stillness is not a bad thing. To sit in it and to acknowledge it and to recognize it. Because, like I said, that's a luxury that a lot of people do not have. And I feel like I said, we're so used to distractions. When we feel that boredom, we got to feel, all of a sudden, the first thing that you do when you feel bored, that I have even noticed in myself, is you got to find something to fill that boredom, whether it's your phone, me, it's work, something that can get done. But even in that moment, what can I do? Just sit and enjoy the boredom, just enjoy the moment of how I feel. How do I feel? A calm nervous system, like I said, that peace, that stillness. Realizing that even in that moment, that boredom, even though I want to do something else with my time, that it is a gift and that it is a blessing and that it is something that I need to be more grateful towards, displaying more gratitude towards that boredom, because it's important, because usually don't appreciate stuff until it's gone. And I don't want to appreciate my boredom when I no longer have it. Wishing for my boredom, wishing for that mundane Monday, that mundane Tuesday or Wednesday to come back, because now I no longer have it. Now I wish I had it. So I don't know. That is just something that I wanted to share today. Um, Hope everyone has a fantastic day. And I'll see you guys next time.